Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Carpooling with Ben. You know, we are right now in the beginning of probably the best time in Rhode Island and southern New England, summertime, and one of the greatest things that people enjoy about Rhode Island and really this whole region is Narragansett Bay. And who better to talk to than the folks from Save the Bay. Cindy, thanks so much for joining me in the car.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, is this the largest resource we have in the state? Like, is it like one of the, it's one of the largest? Certainly,
well, resources come in a lot of forms,
sure,
but it is certainly the largest and most beautiful natural resource,
sure,
that we have in the ocean state, and that's why we call it the ocean state.
There we are.
Rhode Island has more coastline per capita than any other state in the
take
nation.
That, United States, all right? We may be the smallest, but we got that chip on our shoulder, you know. It's no wonder why that video went viral last year. Everybody's proud of Rhode Island.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you guys have been around for close to 50 years now.
We have. We were founded in 1970
okay,
by a group of people who were concerned about an oil refinery that was proposed for the Tiverton area, and from there, we became one of the state's largest nonprofit member-based organizations working to protect and improve Narragansett Bay. And that really includes all of the waterways and tributaries that feed into Narragansett Bay. So as far up as Worcester, Brockton, and beyond Brockton, all the way down to the southern salt ponds and southern shores of Rhode Island.
Yeah, I think that's something people don't understand or realize is that, you know, the bay just doesn't, boom, you know, it's right here, it's this little pool.
Yes.
It is fed from, I mean, obviously, eventually it goes, there's things that feed it all the way from Canada and even, you know, the North Pole and everything. It makes its way down and through. But you guys, you know, monitoring and aware of different things that are happening, that are feeding into our source. And I mean, it provides a huge, you know, huge amount of income and resources for our state. You know, our bay does.
Absolutely.
Between the boating, the fishing, the commerce that happens around here. There's a lot of ways that people can get involved, even if they don't live right next to the bay. And of course, Rhode Islanders, if it's beyond 4 Dunkin' Donuts, they don't necessarily go any further. So there are some people in Rhode Island that may not necessarily go to the bay or see the waterfront from there on a regular basis, but there are things that they can be doing to help your cause and what you're doing. Well,
in fact, not only that, but there are things that they are doing that everyone in Rhode Island and even in Massachusetts are doing already without even realizing it, that impact water quality in our bay.
Okay.
So everything that goes on your lawn, chemicals, insecticides, pesticides, fertilizers.
Interesting.
All of that gets washed off into the streets by rainwaters. You know, all this rain we've been having. People who have taken advantage of the nice weather over the last part of last week and fertilized. When those heavy rains come, they wash some of those chemicals off into the streets, down storm drains, and all of that works its way into our waterways and into Narragansett Bay. And the same thing is true for grass clippings or road salt and sand that people sweep down into the storm drains.
Okay. I mean, it was a big popular campaign years ago. People were going around and spray painting, you know, this leads to the ocean.
Right, you're right.
Don't dump oil down. I mean, that was...
Don't dump, drains to bay.
It's
exactly.
Absolutely. So,
and it's still true.
But that's still maybe it's not as big of a problem as it used to be with like oil or harsh chemicals like that, meaning, you know, what we think of as bulk fluids, but, you know, like you said, you know, we may not think about it when you fertilize the lawn or you try to do the weed and feed. Absolutely.
Decades ago, the biggest sources of pollution were the obvious ones, the big factories, the big raw sewage, you know, big obvious things that we could point to a cause and we could point to a company or a factory or whatever. Today, that's changed. The Clean Water Act came in, the state of Rhode Island, the people of Rhode Island have done amazing things to enact policy and laws and practices that are good for our waterways, good for water quality. The bigger challenges for us now are things like nutrients and bacteria that come from pet waste, dog poop that's left on the ground, geese that poop up to 1 pound a day 30 pounds of goose poop from one goose.
They're not Tootsie Rolls, ladies and gentlemen.
They are not.
When you see them on the road, they're not Tootsie Rolls.
Fertilizers, chemicals that go on to lawns and that kind of area. Those things are now among the largest pollutants that affect water quality in our bay. And those are the things that lead to beach closures every summer. Those are the things that lead to algae blooms that create those stinky, smelly, and oftentimes beach closures. We've had a couple of harmful algae blooms in this past winter. Still a little uncertainty in the scientific world about what caused those, but nutrients and bacteria are certainly things that we look at as causes of all of those things that affect our ability to enjoy Narragansett Bay. We, at Save the Bay, our vision is a fully swimmable, fishable, healthy Narragansett Bay that's accessible to all. We want a thriving fishing community. We want to be able to eat the beautiful shellfish and the beautiful fish out of the water.
Well, it's written into the Rhode Island Constitution that all Rhode Island residents have a right and access to the waterfront.
Yes.
And, and people think that might be a little crazy, especially if they're from an inland state and, it's like, oh, well, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, we've got these beautiful road signs now that, tell us when there's an accident or when there's construction. And a few years ago in the middle of the summer, there was such a push to go to the beach that the parking lots all filled up.
Oh, wow.
And somebody had thought, okay, down at the South County area, all beaches closed. And, and what they should have said is all beach parking is closed. When they did that, the governor at the time, I believe it was either Kachiri or was beginning of Chafee's first term, his term, people were calling up, this is my right as a Rhode Islander. I have access, so you can't close it. And it was just the parking lots. But, this is something that's very, very important to Rhode Island and really southern New England because, a lot of people come in. You see a lot of Connecticut and Massachusetts plates that, and that's great. Glad that they can enjoy it. What are some of the things that you guys provide information and resources as far as, and how can people get that information for what you're doing?
That's a great question because actually
that's
a great question. We all have the ability to take steps in our own backyards, on our own properties, to protect and improve Narragansett Bay, no matter how far or close one lives to Narragansett Bay. And we just put out a guide that we're calling Bay Friendly Living.
All right.
A guide to yard care and lifestyle tips that save time, money, and the Bay.
Look at that.
Who doesn't want that?
That's a beautiful thing.
So this booklet has a section on...
Does it have recipes?
It does not have recipes.
Right. Maybe the next edition.
It does have a section on landscape management, which tackles things like how to keep water on your yard instead of having it run down your driveway and into the storm drain. Your yard needs water.
Yeah.
And the more rainwater, which is free from nature, that you can keep on your lawn means you're not paying to sprinkle for a sprinkler to water your lawn artificially. It means you're saving money on water. It means you're keeping the water on the ground, which also means maybe you're using less fertilizer and less nutrients.
Sure.
There are some tips. There's some natural ways you can fertilize your yard. If you let your grass grow longer, it allows the roots to grow deeper, healthier, absorb more of the water, and that requires less fertilizer over time and less artificial watering. If you leave your grass clippings on the ground, that holds water and moisture in the ground, and it also provides up to 1/3 of the nutrients your lawn needs without fertilizer.
Wow.
So this guide has a lot of tips like that, making your yard a sponge, how to fertilize naturally, things like that. And then the second half of the booklet includes a section called Bay Friendly Actions, which are which really apply to anyone, even if you don't have a yard.
Yep.
So if you have a pet, it talks about how your dog waste can impact water quality in the bay and what you can do to keep it off the ground.
Yeah, people think just because they're not at a public park, they're at the beach in the wintertime or something, walking the dogs, where it's it's there's no rules against it.
Right.
You still get a scoop.
Exactly.
You still got to bring a bag.
Scoop, yeah.
Still got to bring a bag.
You'd be surprised how many people put the dog poop in a bag and leave the bag on the ground. I don't understand. So close. You're on the right track. Just take it to the trash can. And then the geese, we're all kind of annoyed by the geese and the goose poop, and a lot of people, but what's one of the favorite family pastimes is feeding the ducks, feeding the geese.
Yep.
Well, most people don't know that's illegal in Rhode Island. Feeding the ducks, feeding the geese, illegal in Rhode Island. It's bad for the animals.
Sure.
Bread is what we usually feed them, and bread does not give them the nutrients they need. So
you never see geese at Stop and Shop or Dave's or Tom's
Right,
Market
right.
buying a loaf for the
So,
family.
yes.
So it's not really in their diet.
It also makes them too dependent on humans for survival, and it affects their migration patterns. So geese are supposed to be migratory animals, but when they come to rely on us for food, they stay here year round. And our habitat, our land sources here aren't equipped to handle those large populations of geese year round. So, it kind of upsets the balance of nature when humans kind of get involved.
Do we have to have like a national, maybe this is something we do in September, we have a national like day where we just play Closing Time, that song all the time, and just be like, geese, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Kind of just move them out, kind of like the end of the night, start tipping the chairs up.
Well,
it might help. I'm just trying to spread the word.
The truth
just trying to spread the word.
We've got some really great tips in bay-friendly living.
I'll follow your tips there.
Talk about how to deter geese from landing in our property. So we can let the grass grow a little bit longer. They like short grass, so if we keep it a little bit longer, they won't land there. Especially in like municipal park areas and shoreline areas. If people if people who live along the coastline or organizations, municipalities that have land along the coastline, plant a buffer of water's edge appropriate grasses and plantings, that deters geese from landing in that area, and it also serves as a filter. So when pollutants like goose poop and fertilizer and other things are washed toward the water, the buffer planted area filters the pollutants out of it before it reaches the water. So there's some great tips in here about how to deter geese. It also talks about litter. How even litter way up in the city, way up in Woonsocket or wherever, how that actually can make its way into our waterways and affect the safety and health of marine life as well as humans. Talks about septic systems, talks about storm drains and what can and can't go in storm drains and why. I mean, most people think, well, grass clippings are natural, so I can just sweep my grass clippings in the storm drain. Seems reasonable, but the reality is it clogs up those systems, and what ends up happening is stormwater and sewage water flood the systems and create overflows that just make things really mucky and then add to the pollutants in the water.
Now, I'm not going to lie. This is probably, no offense to the past 42 episodes, but this is probably one of my favorite episodes because
we're talking about poop.
You've said poop a number of times, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's a problem, people.
We talk about poop a lot at Save the Bay.
Well, let's cover that. If people want to learn more, because I mean, we've been driving around now for about 10 minutes or so. I've learned so much, but there is so much more to learn.
Yes.
One of the greatest things that they can do is either go on your website. You
Absolutely.
have a ton of information there.
Absolutely.
You can get that come down to your facility in Providence. Talk about gorgeous location.
It is beautiful.
It is stunning. I mean, on a day like today, a midweek, you've got a couple different groups in there having their business meetings.
And it used to be a landfill.
There you go.
So there you go.
Wow.
So you can, and your viewers can pick up a copy of Bay Friendly Living at our Providence location. We also have our aquarium in Newport, right on Easton's Beach.
Right, by the carousel.
And yes, by the carousel. And we also have a location in Westerly, right on Broad Street, called our South Coast Center. So we have these booklets available in all three of those locations. They're also available at the Aquidneck Island Planning Commission in Middletown, and we are going to be, over the next few weeks and months, working with partners throughout the state to get these in the hands of their customers, clients, members, and so on and so forth, one way or the other. And then it's also downloadable online at savebay.org/bayfriendlyliving.
Or just go to the main website.
Right.
The other cool thing you can do with the website, and we're going to talk about this with Matt. The other cool thing you can do is you can click that donation tab.
Yes.
And you can make a donation for $1, $2, $3, $5, $10 million.
Absolutely.
Completely, they'll love you.
Or
Absolutely.
just $1, $2, $3, or $5.
That works too. But if you go for the million, they may name a shell after you.
Every little bit helps. And most people don't realize that we are fully member supported. Awesome. We are not a government agency. We don't receive any money from the state or from the federal government as a rule, unless we've applied for a competitive grant and gotten something in that way for a specific project. So we really, really depend on our members and our supporters and donors and volunteers who work with us to clean up shorelines and to do beach cleanups, to plant salt marsh grasses and dune grasses, and you know, we have a lot of opportunities for people to get involved with Save the Bay to support this beautiful natural resource we have here.
Sure. And you know, one of the things, you know, we talked about the groups that are meeting here. If you're a person who is in charge of planning a meeting, or you know, you're a manager and you want to break out and do something different, that's a great way to introduce your staff or your your colleagues to this organization and the different things they do there. Because I mean, it's a green building. There's grass on your roof.
That's right.
Which you know, does somebody have to get up there and mow it, or how does that work?
Well, you know, yes, there is maintenance involved.
Okay.
So yeah, so actually we built this facility about 11 years ago. It was intended to be a public urban access point to Narragansett Bay. Right. Our building is a green building. It's meant to be a living classroom. We have over 15,000 K-12 students from Rhode Island and beyond come to our education programs year round. School buses right there. So this is part of the, you know, our building serves as one of the classroom experiences, as does our beautiful shoreline, the rocky shoreline. Our boats are here at our dock. We take kids out on the bay. For some of them, it's their very first time ever even seeing the bay. Yeah. And then of course we have groups here all the time who use our space for professional development, retreats, weddings, parties, that kind of thing. And we love that our property is open to the public from dawn to dusk. So fishermen are here all the time.
That's so great.
And that's what makes this place special, is being able to offer our community an access to the bay right up here in the Providence area.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Cindy, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to bring Matt in next, who's going to talk about some of the great events that are coming up. You can get involved. You know, maybe swim one lap. It's just one lap. Just one.
It's a 2-mile lap, but it's
just one lap. That's all. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Listen, if you're looking for something to do this summer, or if you're looking to get involved with Save the Bay, there's lots of different opportunities for you to, you know, get active. They have some great events. Matt Viera, one of the guys that, you know, you can find at these events. And what do you do? You're like social media guy.
Yeah, my title is technically the social media and marketing manager.
Okay.
I handle a lot of different things, but for the most part, I handle a lot of the graphic design work that happens to Save the Bay, and a lot of the social media promotion for our events, for any activities we're doing, if we're working with schools, if we're out doing habitat restoration. All the storytelling that goes on the website and on the social media comes from my desk.
So make sure you follow and like and subscribe and tweet and post.
Talk to us. I will always respond. I respond to everything that comes in. I see everything. So if you have questions, you have concerns, you know,
Matthew Viera, making social media social again.
Yes, that's very important. I think that's very
critical.
important.
Well, it's a great conversation. That's why we're here. We're having a conversation about some of the things coming up. One of the most signature events you guys do every year, usually takes place in July, is the Save the Bay Swim.
Yes.
So when is that happening this year?
That is Saturday, July 29th.
Okay.
It's our biggest event of the year.
It's just one lap.
It's just one lap. It's just you can see the finish line. It's 1.7 nautical miles away, but you can see the finish line. It goes from the Navy base in Newport over to Potter's Cove in Jamestown. It's our biggest event of the year. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year as well. Okay. 500 swimmers, 200 kayakers. Wow. I mean, tons of volunteers come out. That's the other thing too. If you feel like you can't do that whole swim, or if you don't want to kayak it, we have plenty of opportunities for people to come out and volunteer.
On both sides.
On both sides. At the finish line is a great time. At the start, you can check in kayaks. There's a way for everybody to get involved. You can even stand at the finish line and cheer people on as they come over the finish line.
That is so needed. I mean, you think about it, you know, this is, it's not the same distance, but at the end you feel like you've ran the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is, and you've swam it before.
I've swam it before, and that's one of the most important, I think, volunteer positions, is I felt so getting out of the water and like people congratulating me and, you know, high fives and whatnot. It was such a great feeling when you get out of the water, because it really is, it's a great accomplishment, because you're swimming and you're swimming under the Newport Bridge, and you're right next to it, so it's like this big grand like feeling, and you get so warm inside. Then you finish and you have all these people congratulating you. You get a medal.
There you go, and you can't walk for the rest of the week, but that's okay.
It's like I have it down to like it's like an hour and 31 minutes, and then my legs give out.
All right, it's running on borrowed time here, people.
But also, I don't train that hard for this event. Other people that are in better shape than I, they're fine.
All right, very good. Can you use swimmies? You know.
Oh yeah, you can use pull buoys.
Oh,
you can use paddles.
Put
fins,
the little ring on. You're good to go.
Thing.
No flip turns. Just keep swimming.
Yeah,
so.
This is the perfect event for someone who gets to flip turns.
So if people want to get involved with that, now's the time to sign up and get your placement and figure it out, so people can get the website information right there.
Yep.
What other events are happening for people who may not want to don a Speedo in the middle of July?
Coming up in a few weeks, we have our Taste of the Bay event. That's on Thursday, June 15th.
Okay.
It's the sights, sounds, and tastes of Narragansett Bay. So if you like local food, if you like local drinks, beer, cocktails, and local live music, this is the event for you.
All right.
It's right at our Bay Center, right at the back of Johnson & Wales. It's 100 Save the Bay Drive. We have it right there, and it's a great event. It's at night. You're out on the bay and you get to see all the great view that we have. We're very fortunate, and just a lot of local vendors come down. It's a really homey feel. You get a lot of seafood, a lot of local beer, a lot of local cocktails.
Yeah, that's great. If you're like me, you enjoy the coffee milk side of things, that's always good.
Yes.
But the nice thing is, too, is you guys are right next to Johnson & Wales University, which you guys do a lot of work together on different things. So Lyft and Uber is very familiar with this location.
They know this place.
So if you want to come and enjoy the night and not have to worry about a ride home, call Lyft or an Uber.
Yeah.
Safety. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get a water taxi maybe. Take you back to Jamestown, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
But so that's happening, you said June 15th?
June 15th, yes.
Okay, great.
And you can go on the website savebay.org/taste if you want to buy your tickets for that as well.
You want to get those tickets right away, because this is an event that comes pretty close to selling out, if not does all the time.
It comes close to selling out, and you want to make sure you get there on time, because the food while there's abundance of it, it is limited, and people will... there's a lot of people at these events, so you want to make sure you get there on time, get the tickets early to make sure you don't get shut out.
Fantastic, fantastic. What else we got coming up?
We have
in the fall?
Yeah.
Like going into the fall?
So we have the International Coastal Cleanup, which is on September 16th.
Okay.
This is our biggest. We do cleanups all year round.
Sure.
But this is our biggest of the year. We do it at 80-something sites around Rhode Island. We're cleaning up hundreds of miles of coastline. We removed 16,000 pounds of trash last year during the International Coastal Cleanup, which is the Saturday and Sunday. It starts on the 16th, which is the Saturday.
So what are some of the bigger items you find there?
So people deposit mattresses on the shorelines.
People, hold on. Listen, why are you bringing a mattress to the beach? Okay? Don't. Go buy it from Cardi's. You have free removal of your old mattress.
You think they would know by now?
They put out a few commercials. I mean, there's been you've seen an ad here or there.
Nick, Ron, and Peter been in your living room more than one time.
Absolutely. Today.
Yes. So you got to know that. But yeah, we find mattresses. You'd be surprised at how many mattresses we find. Car tires, everything from fishing line to our most abundant piece that we find is cigarette butts. So, which is, it's very disheartening. One, because it's a bad habit.
Sure.
And number two,
CVS is doing their part. They're trying to eliminate cigarettes altogether. So
it's a very great thing that CVS is doing.
But so you've got that event happening. That's in September, and then there's just stuff happening all the time. We're talking about utilizing the facility because it's a great location for meetings and for organizations. If you want something different, we're both, creative guys, and that's a great way to bring a creative team to a different area that kind of just, spurns different, forms of creativity is right there on your facility.
Not a lot of people know that we actually do room rentals right in our building. So that's, it's really great. And a lot of people say that it's a great. You get out of the office, you go have a meeting there. You're sitting by the water. You can go outside. It brings you out of your normal environment and lets you like think out of the box a little easier.
That's excellent. Yeah. That's excellent. What are some of the other things that people should know? I mean, we've got that great guide that Cindy was talking to us about.
Yes,
people
the Bay Friendly Living Guide.
You guys have a podcast.
We do.
And this is something really interesting because you really. It's a podcast for all ages because there's so much education. If you get kids that are interested in marine biology or just what's happening in our bay, you have a scientist, a doctor on with you all the time.
Yes, Adam Kowarski. He is our aquarist, an aquarium manager. Okay. He is so knowledgeable. I learn something new every time I go down there. We film once a month, usually at the beginning of the month to highlight the aquarium's theme for that month. Every month has a different theme. And for those of you who don't know, the aquarium is down on Easton's Beach.
Right.
It's right on the water.
Right near the carousel.
Beach. Exactly, right.
First
right
beach for those who are familiar with the state before 1991.
Yes. So you can check out the podcast. I learned a ton doing this with Adam. He's great, and so you can check out our podcast. We're on iTunes. We put it on YouTube, on our Twitter page. So
well, download that because and subscribe because it'll just automatically refresh.
Exactly.
And that's a great way to keep up with everything that's happening with what you guys are doing. And you're right. You're talking about science. You're talking about the different things that. I mean, because the bay is constantly changing.
Constantly.
The bay is not what it was 50 years ago.
No.
And it will be different as time progresses. And the fact that you guys talk about that on a regular basis is excellent because it's real-time information.
Yeah.
So that's really great.
Yeah.
And like you said, you guys have some really fun videos there online to check out.
Yep.
So
on our YouTube, you can find it all on our website.
That's awesome. And that's a great, all these kids nowadays, parents are worried about what site is safe for them to go to or what YouTube channels. So let your kids subscribe to the Save the Bay channel.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to learn so much. And they'll be the ones to make you come down here. And, it's a great way to give back, support, a great local organization and keep one of our largest resources healthy.
I can't argue with you on
that. Healthy. So, Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to come in. And if people want more information, where should they be going?
SaveBay.org.
Okay.
And also our Twitter page, Save the Bay RI. We have an Instagram in the same name, and also find us on Facebook.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to get you back so you can take care of all your get ready and train for your swim there. Maybe you do your stretches. And,
I should start stretching now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's never a bad time to start stretching. So awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.